scoreline tells a bit more than what we're talking about.
All right, well, gentlemen, go ahead and have fun with this one. We'll back out, but just remember, Team Liquid did start that game on Villa on defense, and they ran away with it. So let's see if it's the same thing here. Have fun.
Ooh, a good point there brought up by Jacob before he heads out. But yeah, John, you bring up a great point. I think Los1 certainly have a fighting chance here, and if we've learned anything from today, it's that we should expect the unexpected. Our predictions have been a little off the mark. W7M, they're the favored team. Black Dragons comes in and absolutely takes it to them. Liquid, they go out week 1 and they smoke their opponents, and week 2, you never know. You never know what could happen. And I mean, I don't know about you, John, but I did have this kind of pinged as my game of the day, but I don't know, because we've seen quite a bit of competition for game of the day title right throughout the day so far. So game 4, our final map of playday number 2 of the Brazil League. I'm gonna take a look at our operator bans, and well, we do see at least one more surprising ban here, John, with the castle.
I have to say it makes a little bit of sense because he's very popular, especially for that top floor. On the occasion, you can see him as well playing for some of the first floor extensions like staff, and open area is a really good example of that, where you can sometimes have your players be a little bit closer to the elevator if you can have a few castle barricades in that general vicinity, along with having some into the bomb site itself. So it's not a bad ban given the context of this map. And funny enough, Liquid, they're opting to start in this first floor of open area and kitchen room. And for Los1, seems like they're going to have a composition that looks rather direct, but that might have been expecting, you know, a bomb site like the basement. Maybe they'll switch it up once they realize where exactly Team Liquid is going, or potentially not, because this lineup actually still looks pretty good, except the lack of vertical presence, which now Dots will get on the buck, so that changes things.
Yeah, you've got Dots bringing out the skeleton key on the buck, so you're not going to really have an issue with the vertical, right? You're ensuring that you have some hard breach, which is in the form of those Selma charges from the Ace. We're likely going to see those employed on that well, quad wall in break room facing square, right? So that's where those Selma charges typically get deployed. And worst case scenario, you know, you lose your Ace early. Dots has 2 secondary hard breach charges if the need arises. Plus, you've got some hatches that you want to take care of. So that's exactly what that piece of utility is for. But as we dive in, we're likely going to see Los1 begin this attack up above. You can already hear Dots letting loose with that skeleton key as we see Dash working his way across the roof, because in order to really get a good foothold on open area, unless you're pulling off some sort of shenanigans and taking an Amaru and taking that Gara hook in from below, you're going to need that vertical control from up above, and extend that throughout the first floor, work your way into archives, get that cut off, and see what you can do on the site itself.
E-box wall opened up in the background by Loban with that breaching charge. Might have also gotten that double barricade that was put over on the door leading into the bomb site of staff room. Seems to not have done the trick, unfortunately, for Los1. Could have been really helpful, especially since the archives barricades were actually put on every single window, so there was no way to stop someone from hopping in the E-box almost immediately. But so far for Los1, they're still trying to figure out how exactly they want to go about this clear. Dots with the diffuser, he might try to drop down one of the hatches since they've already cleared out a majority of that top floor, and that seems to be the case. The Iana of Maya is currently watching over by both the elevator and marble stairs while the buck gets down vertical, and once these defenders that are anchoring in the bomb site are pushed back far enough to make space for the buck, he can drop down and get that diffuser on the ground potentially, especially if his teammates are there to back him up from both the first floor and up above.
Well, resets is one of the major dangers preventing that plan from really coming to fruition. But as you said, he's been forced away. He's been forced to drop down. Volps, on the other hand, though, will get the opening pick for the round. Then it is Los1 who lose a very important body early. Thankfully, most of the work with that skeleton key has already been utilized. A lot of vertical destruction already created, but someone who is a spearhead of this attack is no more. Loban will answer quickly onto Lagonis and neutralize that advantage, but in a 4v4 with 40 seconds to go and a couple of defenders like Volps in some spooky positions like top blue, oh, you're gonna have a problem executing on this, but Loban read into that very well. Now resets is the next surprise. He'll pop back up the elevator, but it looks like his position is known as well. Maya had a read on that. Shut down Liquid, shut down resets almost instantly. There's another. Palu, the last player standing, can't do much more but get one kill in the end. What a read there by Los One, flexing their information game, denying not one, but two sneaky flank plays to win the round.
And realizing what operator Volps was playing on, and given the context of the site that was being selected by Liquid, Los One put 2 and 2 together that you could probably see the Soulish trying to flank up a position like Blue Stairs, which is funny enough what we saw all the way back in our first matchup on the Brazilian broadcast. But luckily, Loban was very much aware of that potential threat. He shuts it down. Now you've got the man advantage trying to execute from both the beepers part of the map, looking into open area, and also working your way from square. I love that Los One just didn't fully commit into getting that initial execute of dropping the hatch with the buck and getting that diffuser down once the buck had died, instead of having someone else take his place, and maybe someone isn't watching vertical, they could be susceptible to a flank. They instead just try to double down and go somewhere else, work their way in through square, which ended up being the exact charm to deal with Team Liquid's anchor defense with having a couple of roamers offside as well.
But I love how prepared Los One came for that round. I mean, even though they lost a body early, because Volps had that kill down below in server, down below in CCTV as well, like, Los One knew where he was. And while I thought that coming up Blue Stairs would have been a bit of a surprise, given that Los One was low on time, they had to turn their attention to the site, they were more than ready. They read Liquid like a book, not once, but twice, denying two late flanks, which instead of being an incredible boon for the defense that froze Los One and slowed down time, it turned into a significant problem where Liquid threw away two bodies. So they're going to be looking to remedy that now. Maybe looking to stay a bit more passive, not go for as many predictable flanks. Loban in a load of trouble here now that the bullets are flying his way from both Palu, and that's what resets on the other side. Either way, Palu will claim both of those kills onto both Dash and Loban, and rather than losing one body this time, Los One loses two.
Unfortunately, not having anyone on that top floor there for Los One, it kind of allowed Team Liquid to be a bit more aggressive against the players pushing in from both that E-box entryway and also the printer window. Palu, a great double kill on the Goyo to guarantee that Los One are now very limited on options. You're going to have Rise try to get some of these hatches opened up with the help of his Maverick blowtorch, and maybe that can get the ball rolling in the right direction. But with several Nitro cells, Vulcan packs, and every single defender still on the board, it's going to be tricky for Los One, especially since Nesk also found an important kill. His dots will go down, your thermite eliminated.
Yeah, Nesk is in a great spot to deny that vault drop. Could even keep an eye on these main stairs if Maya ends up pushing down too far. But, I mean, look at this. You've got somebody else around the corner. Volps is going to have no problem to deny him. And so, without the Amaru, it is just Rise left alone against 5. Not looking too good. He'll spot the feet of Nesk, but he won't be able to do much about it. And Liquid, after going for a bit too much in the previous round and losing the round because of it, they will actually go for, well, just the right amount, and they will take a flawless round number 2.
And don't get me wrong, the idea of trying to deal with the roamers before they can fall off and have all that utility at their disposal while also having 5 defenders on the board, it's definitely not a bad idea. But fully committing without having anything else to back you up besides maybe another player from a different isolated angle, that can be a huge risk. Los One went for it, and in that case, it didn't work out. Again, maybe having someone up on the vertical trying to clear out the top floor while someone's pushing in near that staff and printer side of the map, that could have been the right thing to at the very least trade and make sure Team Liquid do not get away scot-free, essentially, on their rather light roam clear. But that'll tie us up, and now Team Liquid get to go on one of the more challenging bomb side of CEO.
Yeah, heading to the site that depends a lot more on your ability to fight with the players on rappel and fight as a repelled player into the bomb site than much else. Often we will see this round get dictated by the stock presence and top square pressure that the defense applies using that bulletproof shield that we saw outside of stock just a moment ago. Typically, you'll see someone like a Wamai or a Warden sitting behind that shield, really trying to hold down that position as long as they can. You'll put a couple of footholds in towards stock, really allow yourself to hold that until the last few moments, because if you still have control of that shield when people are pushing in top square, well, the fact of the matter is they can't push in top square because you're watching that cross. So Los One, they'll have to be careful of that. For now, it'll just be the rappel, though. These long angles from outside the main lobby that both Dots and, I believe, Rise are holding.
I love the coordination here by Los One. If you see a bit of activity by the regular CEO window repelled players, that might force you to fall a little bit back, closer towards front desk. But Rise has an angle on that, and so does the ace as well of Dot. So really everything is covered from here by Los One, but everyone being on cameras right now, with the help of that yokai, could maybe allow a run out that could find so much damage against Los One, but only time will tell.
And for those of you who weren't here in that bank match earlier today, we saw this exact yokai drone employed there. It's such a good decision on the defensive side to bring the Echo. And if for no other reason than for that right there, you get invaluable intel outside the map that tells you how many people are on the rappel, what they're doing at any given moment. That's useful if you want to get aggressive and jump out a window, sure, but it also tells you where the attack is coming from and where it's not. If you don't see anybody on the rappel, you know that they're going to be busy pushing in elsewhere. Right now, with that read, Palu can just hold these long angles towards main lobby because they know what they're dealing with. That's a great shot and a great kill for the man himself, and that'll give Team Liquid the opening kill for the third round in a row.
The Kanto wall wasn't even opened up by the ace as well. They had nothing to get rid of that Cade Claw on that double panel. So even if the ace survived, there was no position he could really hold. He'd have to get aggressive inside the building. So a good opening pick by Team Liquid, and also good operators to make sure the front side of the map is not going to be a vulnerability for them in these final 40 seconds.
Rise trying to creep up the stairs. Finds nothing yet, but on the other side, Maya makes a good bit of damage happen. Volps and Resets, though, they will clap back and deny anything more. They've only lost one body. It's only Palu at this point who is gone. Lobin on the other side is the last player remaining. Another round that Team Liquid are looking to secure with no problem. These ruthless long angles from the high in the bomb chassis from all the way in that front office are too much for Lobin to deal with. That's another round for Team Liquid.
And once again, I talked about this. The vulnerabilities that Liquid had were pretty scarce, almost non-existent in round number 3. Los One, they weren't able to get the Kanto wall opened up. They didn't have their ace even rotate across the map to stock to get an angle against that shield extension because he died by Palu. And they didn't even have a Flores either to maybe, begin to push back defenders that could be in that main hallway. So for Team Liquid, they had all these power positions, and Los One, they were kind of forced just to push in from two separate directions, that being both the top of square from that double door, not even stock let alone, and also the gold stairs, which had barbed wire on it. So sure, you've got Rise who can deny a little bit of that, default information with the cameras inside of lobby, but you're going to hear that barbed wire no matter what operator you're running. So Team Liquid completely aware of that. They ISO the Nook and then just put all of their focus back into square, especially having the help of those Kibas create a lot of strong choke points. It left Los One no options.
Well, the question that was brought up before this game began by both Jacob and Connor was Volps and Palu, right? And their entering capability, and especially for Volps, like, would we see him in that like almost inhuman level of skill? Will that continue for Volps? And I think so far the answer is yes, through both Playday 1 and what we're seeing so far right now. Volps has been really up and engaged early in a lot of the entry duels. Last week was involved in 7 of the entry engagements, won, I believe, 4 of them. And on the other side of things, you look at this game right now, where it was Volps in the first round who got a kill as the entry. In the next round, it was Palu with 2 openers. The third round, it was also Palu with another one. So really, this team right now, thriving in terms of that entry game. It's something that Los One are going to have to try to alleviate as soon as they can.
Team Liquid still not being pushed back at all by this clear on the top floor. Sure, you had, again, Lobin this time playing the ace. He's looking through that Kanto wall, trying to get down a blind fire, but Paulo was able to dodge it, and there's still 3 defenders on this top floor. Not only that, but Resets is also guarding someone who could be creeping in over by ATM. That could be a very essential pick. He spots the Nook for just a second, but doesn't confirm it. But at least he can keep him at bay for the time being, and Palu up above gets rid of Dot. So now your only vertical player is shut down. For a bomb site like open area, that is such an impactful kill for Team Liquid.
That's a big problem, a problem that Maya is going to hope to remedy by just getting aggressive, dropping down the skylight and hunting for some kills. But, I mean, there's no one to be found. And now with his position telegraphed, a couple of bullets sent down range, he's in a worse spot than he was just a moment ago. Volps picking up another kill makes this even more problematic for the Dokkaebi up above, because the Mozzie can just sit back and wait. The pressure is coming in from top square, but it doesn't even matter. Loban is gone, his head taken clean off, and Maya sneaking in from behind. Oh no, misses a couple of free shots that could have finally solved this problem for Los One, but again, Volps is still here. Finally, he's taken care of, and finally, Los One will remove the top floor presence of Team Liquid, but at what cost, John? It is 2v4. Los One are struggling still.
Still, all their positions are being telegraphed. The Kiba barrier, such a loud noise to make for Los One, and Maya just barging down the main hallway, gets silenced by the T5 SMG. Lagonis will get the final kill onto Dash, and Liquid, a third round in a row. Such a strong resurgence after having a bit of trouble the first time defending open area, and off the back of just general information as well. Not even just Mozzie pests or default cameras being up, just looking around at the map. You had, I believe it was Resets playing on the Oryx down below. He was watching, making sure no one could sneak in through ATMs. He's able to give that information to the rest of his teammates that could be a potential threat for the rest of Team Liquid up above. They see the windows being opened up on side of the CEO rappel, and they hear the drop down marble as well. They have such concise information by just using their ears and talking to one another. It allows them to find this perfect movement to get these kills, and like I mentioned, rack up a third round win in a row. They look almost flawless so far in this match.
Yeah, that's 3 rounds in a row. All 4 of them, they've claimed the opening kill. Volps with the first round, and then Palu with 3 opening kills in a row. Right now, the entry game for Los One, disastrous. And yes, they claimed the win in the first round, but it really was still Liquid who claimed that entry, who was on the upper hand just a bit earlier than Los One were hoping for. So that timeout from Los One, it's their hope of resetting things a little bit, trying to get back to even, seeing if they can bounce back and maybe get 1 or 2 more rounds on the attacking side. It is Bank after all, so you really do need to strive for that even half. Liquid, when they switch to the attack, I don't expect anything to be different than it is right now. So Los One, that timeout, they hopefully had a chance to regroup and reset themselves going into yet another basement attack as we head down to lockers and CCTV for the second time.
Los One hoping to speed things up. Maya is now on the Amaru to either get into the building rather fast or maybe get on top of the roof to hold a cutoff angle by marble stairs, since a lot of defenders have been playing in that position a majority of these defensive rounds. It looks like Los One will have the Amaru try to just entry in from CEO rather than playing up on that cutoff angle I mentioned earlier. But before they try to have someone barge in and potentially lose their life, they're going to want to gather a little bit of info first and foremost, which luckily for Team Liquid, they've got a Solus on the board to help prolong this extension up above and really cripple the drone economy, which so far for Los One has been pretty lackluster. They've lost about 4 to 6 drones in almost the first minute to minute 30 every single round. I think this is the only caveat round so far where that hasn't happened.
Yeah, so far that information is a lot better, and that's something that Maya will take full advantage of. We just saw a drone at his feet as he's trying to work his way into main lobby. Nesk is trying to contest that. These long angles that Liquid continue to fight so far have gone their way almost every time. Finally, Los One will change that pattern up a bit, and Maya will take the win in that engagement. Both with the 1.5, just trying to see who can get the better angle on the other. And it is Maya who ends up winning that, and Los One, you know, even though they are starting to tick away on the clock here, they've made some good progress. And for the first time on Bank, they can say that they got the entry pick.
Still plenty of time as well to set up and maybe push back some of these roamers that are still lingering on the first floor. A blind fire by Rise almost gets that kill onto Volps, but he's able to hide behind the desk for just a few more seconds. But now there's vertical being attempted on his position as well. It might just be the proper time to try to get out of dodge and hope you can get away with your life, but there's just so many angles you have to worry about. It seems futile at this point, but a Capcan trap actually downs Maya. Luckily, no one's there to finish that off, so he'll get picked back up and can still utilize those secondary hard breaches to get a hatch opened up. But the Nitro Cell from downtown, Palu gets 2 for his troubles and equalizes for the final 50 seconds to go.
That right there is a total game changer, because what looked like a dominant Los 1 start to this round, it would have been, what, a 5v3? Instead, it's a 3v3. Instead, Team Liquid are in the advantage now because Los 1 still have a lot of work to do, and now the body count is even. You can just sit back and wait. Palu is playing out of his mind right now. 7 and 2 can just hold this down with the support of both Resets and Lagonis, who, again, they're still a C4, and there's still a yokai drone in play. At least we just saw it a moment ago. May have just been taken care of, however. So Los 1 have a bit more safety now. And we've got to see this Nitro Cell come out. No, here is that yokai drone. It still exists, but Rise will just sprint in and take him out before it matters anyway. The Resets answers, and this is a post plan. They know where Palu's coming from. They've got an angle on his position. There's no way he wins this fight, right? He gets one down, but he is down himself. Quick revive attempted from Dots, but here comes Reset sprinting up the stairs. Gets the finisher, and now we'll tease the defuse. Long angle here from Dots. He does have a chance at this. He may have to drop down. No, he just catches the feet of Resets. And Los 1, although a bit panicky in the end, they do pull it out and take their second attack.
And luckily for Rise, understanding the importance of finding that Echo and trying to shut him down before he can bring out those yokais to stop a plant from going down, that was the Hail Mary for Los 1 to get their second round win that they need on the first half. With no more yokais, it's just a single C4, as Palu had to use his earlier in the mid round to get those 2 kills to equalize us in a 3-on-3. And with that also not finding any damage, it was a really nasty 2 versus 2 retake attempt for Team Liquid. And sure, Palu did injure, I believe it was the sledge, and almost found that kill on the thermite, but luckily the trade was successful, and you had the hatch to look quite comfortably as to where the diffuser was placed to make sure that there would be no long arm attempt by the Warden as well. Really good recovery there by Los 1 to keep things close.
I can't believe Palu almost won that engagement up top. I mean, for both of the remaining attackers to know exactly what you're doing, you're taking a 1v2 and they're both pre-firing you. For him to get it down, I mean, that was incredibly impressive and nearly was enough to put Team Liquid on top in that round. Of course, not quite, because again, the feet of that final player still exposed. So Los 1 were able to take it, but not as convincingly as it may have seemed before Palu took that engagement. So still one more round that Los 1 would like as they enter their final attack here. And Team Liquid, they will head, I believe, back up top to conduct their final defense.
CEO so far has been successful for Liquid. They played it back in round number 3, and there wasn't really any kind of pressure that was put on successfully by Los 1. They couldn't even get the Canto wall opened up, and a direct adjustment to try to alleviate that issue they had last time is they have Rise on the Thatcher, so they could potentially have that angle at their disposal for someone playing outside, and maybe that could force back some of the defenders and giving them a bit more map control over in places like Stock, for example. But Palu just doesn't care. Goes for a wide swing, and the ace has been eliminated. Luckily, he can get a small angle opened up, but that Selma's still attaching to the wall, but it's not going to be a gigantic opening that Los 1 can use to their advantage, and Volps is still close by. He almost spots the back of someone up on that top rappel, but luckily they get up to the roof, so it's not going to be a 5-on-4.
We just saw 3 Team Liquid defenders swing that player on the rappel. 3 of them at the same time. They were very hungry for that kill. And, well, I guess, well, they should feel satiated at this point because they deserved it. They took that fight and won it and now have the advantage once again, and Palu is not slowing down. You now see Los 1 without their ace, with no way to access this site from the back. They're going to have to take some fights here and really just hope they can get a couple of good kills, because with the Kiba barriers up in their way, with a limited amount of soft destruction remaining, right, the impacts from the Zofia and the Rotero drones pretty much exhausted, they need to do a lot in the way of clearing utility before they can actually push into this site.
Loban just hoping that someone might get a little bit aggressive here, try to get some sort of 4 versus 4 going, but similar to last time we saw this top floor site in play, Team Liquid, they're just not being pushed back at all, and even trying to adjust by going inside of Stock. They're being challenged by Volps. Resets is there as well. Now it's a 5-on-2 with Los 1 looking at a fairly similar storyline to what we had just moments ago in this first half. Palu scores with 1 as well, and now it's just Dash left to stand, and Lagonis with the TCSG gets aggressive by the double door. Liquid, the 4-2 half to bring us into the 7th.
A 4-2 half and a flawless round is round number 6, just to stick it to Los 1 even more. Good grief, Liquid, when they play confidently, it seems like they cannot be stopped. I mean, the gun skill of this team right now that they are displaying, it's not like anything we've seen so far today. We even saw this map today, and it looked nothing like this. Liquid are taking insanely long-range fights with these SMGs. They are just pouncing at every opportunity to kill someone on Los 1. If they know where one of these defenders are, they're swinging them. And the thing is, with a combination of just some good comms, some good intel, and the yokai drones that they've been bringing out, that intel has been plentiful. They've known exactly where these defenders are. And so it's no wonder we're seeing Team Liquid just swinging them at every turn. But now we shift halves, John. We go into the defense of Los 1, and it's very possible that we've got a defensive-sided bank on our hands, but Los 1 are going to have to prove that from the get-go. They're going to have to do it starting with round number 7.
Team Liquid bringing out an assortment of hard breach with some of those secondary hard breaches being had by both resets and vaults. They could really go for any kind of execute they want to. Sure, it would be ideal that you could have Lagonis still work his way into server and try to get that main wall opened up to set up for a post plant. But with the lack of proper denial for something like the Vulcan Pact, for example, if Team Liquid needed to adjust and go for something more focused on, let's say, lobby and the elevator hatch, that's very probable for them to do. But of course, they'll want to clear out the top floor before even thinking about that basement execute. And so far, they noticed that it's pretty ripe for the taking. There's no one here on this top floor, so Nest just hops in after being droned out by a support player of Lagonis, and now they begin to work a floor lower just in case there's still someone lurking nearby.
And Nesk quickly rotating over towards top square to keep an eye on the top of blue stairs to make sure that nobody can pop out and get aggressive or flank. Palu will, of course, join Nesk in that endeavor as they continue to open up this map, give themselves a couple of more rotates to work with, and take as much space as they can. Loban, he's now been droned out, so he will be forced to fall a little bit further back. He'll choose to maintain this position on the marble stairs, though, because he knows he does have some support in the elevator on that first floor. That's Dash, who should have the opportunity to drop away to safety if he needs it. But for now, we'll hold that position and wait for Liquid to make the move. There it is. The move from Liquid has been made. So Dash will make the smart choice and back off.
Keeping all 5 defenders alive for this bunker-focused defense is definitely a good sign here for Los 1. But once again, Team Liquid, they have a variety of options. Getting the server hatch opened up now could potentially allow a cutoff angle against Dots, but I believe he's already forfeited that position over by blue stairs. And there's the rotate we talked about earlier as well, Jonah, where Team Liquid might realize how much utility is actually put over on the server and CCTV side of the map, and they might go to look for something more focused on an entryway towards lobby and elevator for that execute.
Here they come, starting to make their entry onto this basement site. Nesk and Lagonis both tucked in this elevator at the moment. Gonna see if they can nade their way out of here and really get explosive. Oh, watch out though. There's a smoke in your face. Dots will go down thanks to a well-placed shot from Palu. Maya trades, and now Loban finds himself in a great spot to deny potentially 3 more. He lines up resets and now swings on this elevator, just denied in the nick of time by Nesk, but he gets quickly traded by Maya. That's 3 kills from Maya in the end, holding it down with the Vector and denying Team Liquid from making any progress.
And with everyone giving up on that server front, that allowed everyone from Los 1 to do the same thing. You had Dots with still 2 smoke grenades in his back pocket, completely giving up blue stairs, coming back to the bomb site, and actually prolonging that push over by elevator, which also in turn gave the rest of his teammates more time to set up for that vault drop and for the elevator execute that we saw being attended by lockers. You saw someone on the bomb chassis of lockers holding a deep angle. The second someone walks into that doorway, they're going to be eliminated. Not only that, but someone playing in vault directly watching the secondary hatch drop was more than enough as well. At that point, you've got maybe garage and then marble stairs to execute from, and that's going to just take too much time and put you in too many vulnerable positions to really be in a proper place to also try and get that diffuser down, especially since your case player is still stuck in elevator because of a couple of well-timed smoke grenades. Los1, a really good counter adjustment, realizing that Liquid have given up on their primary attack and we're looking for a plan B.
Yeah, that's a great pivot from Los1 because, like you said, Liquid had pivoted, Los1 just countered it outright, and I mean, way to step up from Maya. I mean, 9-5 right now, the only player who's really going positive on Los1, but this could be the start of something that Los1 have been looking for, right? I mean, in terms of stat lines, even though it's only a 1-round difference, Liquid have been dominant because when they've won rounds, it's been flawless or near flawless, and when Los1 have won, it's just been by the skin of their teeth here. So don't worry too much about the frags you're seeing because Los1, they still have this in their control. As I say that, you see a poor decision made from Loban as he walks into Volps, who is simply just standing there waiting for him. What a read by Liquid, but Los1 are looking to put up a fight. This is not over yet. I won't count them out.
Really shocked that Loban just seemed unaware that someone could even be close to server/CCTV room. Sure, if you hear that proc alarm perhaps or get a notification about it, you might not think they're still by server. Maybe they're up blue stairs, but it seemed like he was completely unaware of that factor. Maybe he didn't hear the proc alarm go off, and that costed him his life. And his teammates, their info, those yokais can now be turned against Los1 as that camera was caught by Volps, or I guess the phone technically captured by Volps and the Dokkaebi. Not only that, but the top floor as well. No one can go on a flank for the time being, as the Dokkaebi has confirmed that position is clear of any defenders that could have been there initially without that person coming in from dirt.
We'll see Nesk here continue to open up this map. That time, a frag grenade that actually did not connect. I think he was trying to open up that barricade into Tellers, and that will remain stalwart for now. An unfortunate use of a very valuable piece of utility. Only one more frag grenade remaining for the entirety of Team Liquid. No more breaching rounds and resets his pocket. Really not much in the way of explosive utility at all. The Selma charges also gone. So with 1 minute to go here, Liquid are low on utility. There's no question about that, but they do have a good bit of map control. That utility has gone away for good reason. They're using it well, and they're going to get it down onto Rise with it. Palu opens it up. Volps with the follow-up will now open up the site for Lagonis to make his move. Palu goes down, and Resets will follow it up, but just like that, it is Dash, the last alive, and fighting quite an uphill battle against 4. Can't even get one kill there as Dash was just trying to spot the head of Resets around the other side of the desk, but really good coverage there at all angles from Liquid. Once that bomb was going down, that was pretty much over for Los1. Liquid took their time, but when they slipped in, they really made it work.
The patience really was the name of the game in the end round there for Team Liquid because they knew Los1 were desperate. They needed to work a gunfight. They had to get creative in some way to stop Liquid from just simply hitting the go button and getting into the bomb site because they had vertical up above. No one can go for a flank because the attack has lobby control and they're already inside of square, so you can't push up from that staircase as well or even marble. So they got to find a new way to flank. They opt to go for staff room. And Team Liquid, again, with their patience and already having a good chunk of knowledge on where half the defenders are, it's just simple process of elimination at that point. And they figure, well, someone's got to flank us from staff if they want to try to slow us down. And that's exactly what happens. That racks them a second kill in the round. They're in a 5-on-3. And once again, with all the info they already had before entering the bomb site, it made it even easier for them to get those last couple of kills and end the round basically, if not actually flawlessly, to be 1 round away from match point here on Fang.
Yeah, pretty close to putting this one away, but Los1 showing us that they are still in this fight, right? We just saw them take around a few rounds ago, and they're going to go to the top floor in an effort to bounce back. We're seeing the presence of the Azami, which is always a smart call on a site like CEO. Given how easy it is for the attackers to just get up to these windows and expose your positions defensively, it's always good to have someone like a Castle or an Azami to add a little bit of support to the power positions you're trying to hold. I mean, look at Loban, for example, right? The Wamai magnets are only going to help you so much. You need some additional support from those key barriers if you can. But speaking of, he's holding a very aggressive position, just waiting for someone on Los1, rather waiting for someone on Team Liquid to come his way.
Just making sure he can try to buy as much time as he can playing on these windows, but a drone will eventually locate him and he falls back, knowing the importance of building up these Wamai magnets over time to potentially keep these Kiba barriers intact, making the bomb site just a little bit safer for Los One throughout this execute. But there's the Gone 6, and Neska's there to greet him right after as well. Perfect coordination by Team Liquid. Dots, luckily, though, he does find a refrag playing over in front desk, so resets is now gone. The Logi bomb's no longer a threat, along with getting up any cameras for the offensive side, but that might have not been the bigger issue here in round number 9. More or less just finding a trade is what they really needed, but still, losing out on those magnets is definitely a concern for Los One, especially when they're still trying to play around these deployable shields and Kiba barriers more specifically too.
Yeah, now Ness is going to be able to pick apart this site with the frag grenades. You've got one more frag in Palu's hands. You still have a lot of that explosivity that Los One are going to have to worry about. Ah, the Nook,
Wow.
Unnoticed. Dots had no idea he was lurking down in main lobby, and that's the power of an operator like that. That's the power of Palu. And look at this angle from Nesk. He nearly lines up 2. Instead, he's just credited with 1, but in the end, it's not going to matter. Volps onto Maya, and Maya into the grave, along with the hopes of Los One in yet another defensive round. It is Team Liquid to continue to push ahead with a full head of steam. It is match point at 6-3.
Los One just not having any info about that lurk coming in last second by the Nook. It really did them in. Not only that, but also securing a nice opening gunfight, trying to keep Los One on their toes towards the very beginning of that last round. It just didn't look good whatsoever for Los One, even though Team One kind of, or I guess Team Liquid, pardon, kind of ignored a heavy majority of square and stock. At that point, they didn't need it. Their Nook found an opening gunfight. Their window repels were not being contested well enough by the Azami Kibas, so they could just hop into the bomb site and only have to really challenge someone by gender, which I don't even think that was a position Los One were holding at the midway during that action phase. With Team Liquid potentially spotting that, that also gave them a bigger reason to try to hop in and just simply play for numbers and trying to get that diffuser down, which, again, the last second adjustment there by Team Liquid was perfect to score match point now against Los One, as sure they've got to deal with the basement floor bomb site, but they've done it beforehand, I believe, in times past. Maybe not in this game yet, but maybe they'll be able to fix it this time around.
Yeah, round number 7, we saw the basement from Los One. They came out and defended it successfully. So I suppose the onus is on Team Liquid to make sure they can win this one. As you highlighted before, though, John, it was Team Liquid who kind of brought out a plan B last time they were on this basement site. It looked like they were in a bit of an uncomfortable position that Los One had kind of forced them into. And then when it came down to it, Los One as a whole, but Maya specifically, saw that adjustment coming and shut down Liquid as they worked their way into the basement. So yes, it is match point, but Los One, I'd say their hopes still remain at least on this basement site, given the result that we saw just a few rounds ago. Liquid are looking to start this one off with a bang. No, they're not looking to waste any time getting into this map. They know that last time Los One tried to put at least a minimal extension in the elevator on that first floor and in open area, and well, that's exactly what we're seeing once again this time. Maya switching from the Goyo to the Mozzie, playing a bit more of an active role and taking that fight with Volps, and winning it means that Los One are off to a good start.
Not having to worry about their Goyo packs being destroyed prematurely is definitely a huge boon for them, since that's normally why you bring a Twitch when attacking this basis war bomb site, especially if your opponents opt to go for a Goyo. Those Vulcan packs, they waste so much time. They can flat out deny you from executing towards CCTV, so that problem will reappear for Team Liquid once again. On top of that, they also lost one of their best fraggers, excluding, of course, Palu, who was just having a monstrous game like the desk was hoping for.
Well, one of the exothermic charges, I think we did see a bit of an electroclaw trick there from Rise, so a little bit of utility on utility battle there that at the end of the day, Los One did come out on top with, because you removed one of those charges, but the hatch still opened up and some progress is made. Lagonis, you can see, calling for some support, needs this wall to be opened in order to even attempt or think about a plant into CCTV. And so really it's just a waiting game, trying to get everyone from Team Liquid in position. Finally, Palu will get there. Breaching charge out, and this wall will open, but with the Vulcan canisters from Loban in play, this is going to get problematic in the late round. There's not going to be a ton of time for them to push in and get this plant. The smoke canisters out to delay. There's still 2 C4s in pocket. So even though Maya's killed here, that's not a huge deal. Los One are still sitting pretty. finally the fire's gone, but the smoke still persists. And Dots has one in pocket. Palu, though, a big kill onto Lobin, and now they're sneaking in from behind, avoiding the smoke, and thundering through this site. It's just Rise, the last standing to deny the entire push from Liquid, and Nesk will not allow it to happen. Another late round adjustment from Liquid to avoid that defensive utility, and it pays off, and pays off with a win. 7-3 here on Bank. It is Team Liquid that continue their dominance here in the Brazil League. They are 2-0 so far.
And once again, that lack of info, it kind of bit LOS1 in the back for that final 40 to 20 seconds, because they had no idea that everyone basically had rotated back to the hatches to drop down deeper into the bomb site to avoid those toxic babes, avoid those Vulcan packs, and maybe even avoid some of those C4s that were still saved up by LOS1 to get the plant down, and also just look for a couple kills looking down that red hallway, for example. Real